We have various beings that, as the frequency of our reality changes in the coming years, we're going to start seeing things that were around us all the time that we didn't know, energetic beings. I'm still told 2029, 2028, around that time period, across the world, there are going to be some mass sightings that are undeniable. The powers that be in various universities are beside themselves, excited, ecstatic. For decades, they've known that these non-human intelligences have a big part in creating and manipulating our religions. What they're excited about is now they get to study this in real time.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Chats with Corey. And I'm here with Corey. Thank you again, Corey, for being with us and taking your time to answer all these different questions that the audience members have. And I'm
Sure.
curious if there's we can usually start out as we usually do with any updates you have personally on how your projects are going, or any intel updates you feel need to be shared. This is a good time to do that too, if you have anything you'd like to share with your subscribers.
Yeah. I mean, probably everyone's seen me post recently clips from the documentary we're shooting about our family, how I became a public figure in ufology, and just my family's experiences through it. It was pretty interesting. My kids told their paranormal experiences. Um, I think that's going to be like 45 minutes of the film. Um, it was very interesting to hear them tell the story to these producers. So that's going well. The production company is going to come to Boulder in October to shoot the last third of the documentary, and then we hope to have it distributed this winter sometime. So yeah, that's going very well. Things with the video game are have been steady, doing well, but now the television series is we've been able to find a way to marry the two projects together, and we're getting a lot of exciting interest from different people. Just I have to be vague. Um, so tomorrow we have a big meeting and we decide, the exact format we're going to do it in, and we have a writer that we're ready to hire. In as little as 2 or 3 weeks, the writer could be writing the script for the pilot, and the pilot is going to be uh, just think about, like, back to Stargate. There was a film, and then Stargate SG-1 was a series that came off of branched off of it. So it was like the film was sort of the pilot. We're doing something kind of similar, but releasing it in tandem with a video game. And then, the pilot, we're hopefully going to start production on next year. That would be great. Might be the year after, but things are moving pretty quickly. So yeah, I mean, yeah, big stuff, exciting stuff. And we also signed a deal for the Alien Mania series. The production company and a few others kind of had an intervention with me, and they're like, we can't do it exactly the way you've outlined it. It was leaning just too heavy into the controversy. So they've come up with a format to blend it, and it's going to be really cool. And it's going to be, when I wrote the treatment and the documentation for Alien Mania, I was in the middle of going through all the craziness with all the people that were doing horrible things. But now reading over it, I have a completely different energy. I've forgiven the people and kind of moved on. So, it needs to be kind of tweaked. So there's a lot of excitement about that show. They think that show will probably become extremely viral. We're gonna have a lot of, different pop journalists and subculture journalists and all kinds of cool stuff on there. So, and then Oh, I'm also having the graphic novel, which the television series is going to be based on. It's being converted into a web comic, and the web comic is going to be translated into Chinese, or is right now being translated into Chinese. When that's done, we'll have the web comic created, and then we're really just bracing at Ascension Works TV when all of these projects come out. We're going to have a lot of new people coming, and we want to find ways to keep the current energy and the way things are with Ascension Works TV. But we have to anticipate growth, and we expect people coming in from the video game industry, people following our television show or our unscripted projects will be coming. And so a lot of these shows and things that I'm doing are giving people kind of a high level entertainment seed planting of all of this information. And then they'll start coming to the community and coming to Ascension Works TV and looking at everyone else's information and all the other deep dive nuggets that we have at Ascension Works TV. And we're expecting it to grow. And so we're excited for everyone that has been there with us since the beginning. I think we also worked out a deal with a burgeoning Chinese streamer that is going to be showing some of our content translated in Chinese. So things are really building in every aspect. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil for a week, and I'll be, on local media and leading up to the conference. And so we're going to be ginning up a lot of publicity down there as well. So expect Ascension Works TV to grow. Stick with us and keep the comments and suggestions coming in as we grow. We'll be looking to long-term members to help us through the growth pains. So I think did I miss anything?
No, that's a great summary. Yeah, very exciting that so much is coming up relatively soon. Um, do you know if there's going to be a live stream at all for the Brazil event?
I,
We can
I
figure
believe
that out.
there is. I believe there is, but I'm going to be the only person I believe speaking English. Everyone
I
else is
see.
going to be speaking Portuguese. So if you speak Portuguese, um, and I can't remember the website right now. Sorry, Fabio. Um, but maybe we can.
I'll link that in the
Yeah,
description. Yeah.
that'd be
Yep.
great.
All right. So yeah, regarding Ascension Works TV, we definitely have prepared it so that it's a very community content oriented platform. People can create their own groups. You can create your own forums associated with groups, and you can have discussions around any subject matter you'd like to um, discuss that's not currently featured on the platform. So, and we try to be relatively agnostic and open for any kind of content. And really, effectively, we want to be a social media platform home for people who want to move away from social media platforms, which are very heavily censored, and where the community isn't really in focus. When you have more advertisers in focus, or the algorithm is focusing on what it thinks is worthy of your attention, as opposed to what people are actually liking on the platform. So we hope that that can allow it to grow more organically and to be more representative of all the fans of Corey and well, everyone connected to Corey too. Yeah.
Agreed.
So, all right. So we can start with some questions here that were sent in. Um, all right, we have one question that came in asking about if there are any beings, ET, ultraterrestrial, or anything that are worse than the Orion group. And of course, what the word worse means could be a philosophical discussion.
So read
Um,
that again.
are there any beings in the universe worse than the Orion group?
Well, I'm sure there are. Most of what we know is from our own galaxy and some from Andromeda Galaxy, as well as from within those galaxies, adjacent dimensions within them. So Yeah, there are various types of nasty beings. Um, you know, lots of different types of parasites out there in the cosmos. But they're in the Andromeda galaxy. They had what we call the Andromeda Syndicate, and they were basically the equivalent of the Orion group here. Remnants of them joined the Orion group when they were kicked out of Andromeda. So, yeah, I just know about these two galaxies mostly. There has to be all different types of levels of nasties in the different galaxies and the dimensions within them.
Mhm. Another question here is for people who could see auras of entities, would the auras look different across the different ET species? The Greys, reptilians, Eotians, positive beings.
Absolutely. Our aura comes from our biorhythms. And the biorhythms, if you want to call them that, from these different ETs, are, your heart beating creates an electrical field that can be read 2 or 3 feet away from your body. Your neurology puts off a signal as well. Um, and these different beings have different physiologies and psychic abilities and that put off completely different energies that people visualize as auras.
That makes sense. There's a question that was asked, I believe, on YouTube. Is there any way to protect the spirit of someone who is dying or died, protect them from being taken by negative entities?
There's
Or
all
is that
sorts of books about that. There are soul eaters and different types of dark entities that if someone is dying and their loved ones on the other side of the veil don't know or don't realize if it's a sudden death or that spirit can become displaced and can be taken. So, yes, saying prayers for your ancestors, when they pass away, is a good thing, but it all depends on their own state of spiritual growth and just their state. But yes, there are very dark entities that trade human souls on like a black market in the spiritual realm. So that is a real thing.
and that's interesting. That does correlate with the law of one material in that they do say that most death process is guarded by uh, guardian entities, but in cases of sudden death and special circumstances, then you do have this opening that when it's not the normal death transition, then that other things can happen. Um, so another question here is about if there's any photographic proof of reptilians existing anywhere on Earth. Is there anyone? I'm even curious if the government is holding on to that kind of thing. Do they
Oh
have?
yeah, yeah, the government does. These secret programs they do, um, but I can't think of an instance in the public where there's an image.
Would that be snatched up by some intelligence agency if they did have it?
Oh yeah, there's been times I've tried to put stuff out, and the minute you put, I mean, the moment you post it or whatever, it's gone, and it's yeah, there's some sort of algorithm or something that picks that up as it's being uploaded and processed, and it picks up on it. Um, so yeah, physical proof is very difficult to come by. Um, I've tried. I know a lot of people that have tried. It either affects the outcome of your expected visit, or technologically something goes wrong with the camera. Uh, it's very difficult.
Right.
It's frustrating too.
Um, we had a few different people asking about a comment you may have made about a upcoming economic crash being likely, and they're wondering if you still feel this is probable, for example, in 2025, that we could see something more significant.
Yeah, things are expected to get, there's a lot that's been hidden about what's going on in the economy. Um, a rosier picture has been put forward, but it, yeah, I mean, next year, I'm told that they're expecting a major correction in the market.
I see. We could move on to an unusual question that came in about realities that are available after a person dies and is reincarnated. Do people go to different dimensions? Um, more mystical dimensions is kind of what they're asking about.
Well, what I've heard postulated is that we exist in space time, and the other side of the veil, the spiritual realm, exists in time space. So there is a sort of a mirror dimension of some sort that they exist in.
All right. Um, so there's a question here about the ancient texts mention the Anunnaki. I feel like it's hard for me personally to discern just how much people are claiming is in ancient texts like Sumerian texts is actually legitimate versus just something people are reading into or making up completely.
That there's a lot of that, especially when it comes to the ancient Sumerian stuff. Um, there, there's a lot of extrapolating information.
But there definitely was a lot of discussion of visitation, you think, in these ancient texts?
I think it could be interpreted either way. Um, it could be interpreted as gods and developing consciousness, our perception of divinity and all of that during the time period, or it could be perceived as uh, visitors.
I see. All right. We had a question about SpaceX and this claim that this being made that there's going to be a moon base set up in the upcoming years, either by NASA or SpaceX. Do you think there's any probability of that actually happening?
I don't know. There's a lot that could change in the next few years, especially.
Do you think this has more to do with our relationship with the ET entities or more to do with what humans are able to do based on the suppressions of access to technology?
Well, we can do a lot that's classified. So already, technologically, we're already there. But for a corporation to set up a location on the moon, then there would have to be some major changes on the, if you want to call it extraterrestrial, the non-human intelligence side. Because it turns out not everything that's on the moon is alien. It's also this ultra-terrestrial presence. It has a presence all throughout our solar system. Um, so, yeah,
Let's move on to a different one here. Has your overall uh, expectations, or I should say, um, has your opinions or ideas of your interactions with the Anshar changed over time? Does your overall experience with them make more sense to you now?
yes, it makes a lot more sense now. Um, I've had a lot of time for my understanding to evolve, but yeah, I might have more on that in the future, not only with the Anshar, but with some other groups. Um, definite change in perspective. Um, and they knew that I would go through whatever process that I did. They were letting me have experiences as opposed to trying to intellectualize things with me for me to truly understand especially this ultra-terrestrial presence. They said I just had to experience it. And uh, it's a kind of a dirty feeling. um, Not really from the Anshar, but from my experience with this thing, whatever it is, this ultra-terrestrial presence. Um, that is what the government is calling the non-human intelligence. The government, if they were to come out with full disclosure tomorrow, which they never will do for a few reasons, one of the main things they'd be telling us about is this ultra-terrestrial presence. Now, the reason I say there will never be true disclosure is because all throughout the community, me, you, everyone, what's going on, the reality of what's going on is not what we all think it is. It's something different. It's a little bit what we think it is, but it's mostly something else. Um, so I got off my train of thought of where I was taking that, but yeah, that now, okay, I see where I was going. Now, the biggest problem is that in the community, people think that there is this magic or majestic 12 type group that holds all the real answers to everything. And below them are people who know varying levels of the truth. Because if you go to the top, there is the truth. Well, guess what? There's not. Within these groups let's call it a majestic 12 type groups that exist now, within these groups are people with all different types of ways of thinking. None of us, look at James Gilliland and Chris Bledsoe. They're having almost the exact same experiences. Chris Bledsoe seeing it through like a Christianity lens, religious lens in one way, and James Gilliland is experiencing it in another. Same beings, same types of beings, same types of interactions, but because of our what we call distortions or experiences in life, each one of us is going to take that information and our root religion or our experiences in life, we're going to try to plug it into that. And that's what's happening at the very tippy top as well. None of these people, all of these people have the same data, information coming in, even transcripts from communications with different ETs or manifestations from this thing. And all of them have read the same papers, but none of them have the same postulations on what we're dealing with. So there is no one truth. And the way I'm describing it now is not even doing justice for the way the situation is. The more I found out they've been studying various people in the community. The powers that be in various universities are beside themselves, excited, ecstatic. For decades, they've known that these non-human intelligences have a big part in creating and manipulating our religions. And they've always studied them in a historical context, even back into the 1800s. They had different groups that were observing and studying this secretly. What they're excited about is now they get to study this in real time because this non-human intelligence is working to create a new religion that is very esoteric based and that will plug into all of the other religions as it develops and enlightenment comes and all of that. And various people in this community and outside and are being used to create this new religion, new spiritual growth. There's a dark side of this non-human intelligence and a positive side that are struggling over our consciousness, if I guess you could say. Um, so yeah, these two sides are kind of trying to create a new religion, one bringing us darkly into consciousness, one trying to help us expand. And they're studying all of us in the community. There are people, I found out that uh, they had radio spectrometers and all these different things on these, all of this equipment that they would put on telephone poles or in different areas where maintenance equipment goes that was aimed at our house, that was taking all of these different types of readings, different types of equipment. And they had people interacting with me that were supposed to be from the community who were actually their operatives. And they're doing the same to others in this community. They're studying us and seeing how this thing works. And so, that's been something I learned a little over 2 years ago. That's been kind of, another thing to add to the giant mind screw package that this topic is. But so this is what I'm talking about now is what the government's dealing with. And there are ETs that visit us, whatever this non-human intelligence is, it mimics them, so they don't know what to trust of their own data. They've been studying this gray alien group. They don't know if there is a great ET alien group visiting us and this thing is mimicking them and interfering with what they're trying to do and interfering with our understanding of it, or if there isn't an alien group anymore, and if it's just this non-human intelligence manifesting. They can't be sure. This thing controls time, space, our perceptions of reality. So all of these people that are up in the programs like David Grush and all of that, they have gone through some major mind melts, not melds, from all this information, because they're doing the same thing everyone else. They receive a packet, or they said, all right, you can read this file. They'll thumb through it, they'll read it, and they'll come to a different conclusion than three other people sitting around the table would. So that's where we're at when it comes to disclosure and understanding the truth. With humans and the way our consciousness works now, there's no just working your way up until you get to the pinnacle and there's the truth. It's just not the way it works. This has been mind-blowing stuff. Hopefully y'all are understanding what I'm talking about and enjoying the conversation. It's some pretty deep and crazy stuff, but consciousness, it comes back to consciousness, spirituality, and I think that I was told by one of the people briefing me when I was like, why are they creating a religion? Why are they trying to create a spiritual movement? And I was told that we have grown technologically at an amazing rate, but spiritually, nothing really. We haven't really grown, maybe reverted, which is a dangerous combination, especially if we're going to be out in the cosmos with these other beings. So that's the reason I was given, that they think this thing is trying to create this new spiritual belief system.
And you think that the Anshar were hinting at that long ago?
Long ago.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's what I've been dealing with the last 3 years. We're going to talk about it in the documentary. Like I said in the conference, I was knocking on walls, making sure, is this real? Is this real? I mean, these things, they're just mind blowing. And especially if you've experienced it yourself, And now you're not understanding whether some of your communications face to face with a physical being were this was this non-human intelligence manifesting. And sometimes it could be both because it mimics, it tries to confuse, it'll mimic different beings. It used to mimic American craft flying over Russian bases, back in like the 50s and 60s, would freak them out. How in the hell did they get here? How have they refueled? How, all these logistics they didn't understand. But it was this non-human intelligence manifesting something, and there's a very big trickster element to it, a deceptive element to it. And then there's this very angelic side to it. And this positive angelic side will have nothing to do with everyone that's trying to study this phenomenon. The only one that seems to interact with people who are studying the phenomenon is the darker side. The positive side very rarely interacts. And when it does, it never interacts with the military complex. They have to come and study us, come and pretend near us so that we will open up and give them information, and maybe they can learn about what this positive side that we call of this phenomenon is. So, yeah, my understanding of this entire thing has changed so much since the day I sat down to shoot the pilot for Cosmic Disclosure. It's changed so much in the last 2 years. Uh, I I understand that everything that we think we understand, it's it's not what's going on. There's something more going on.
It makes sense if this is still just a daydream that we're constantly never able to pin down the truth about the bigger picture on all these
Well,
different entities.
it is sort of a mixture of a daydream and a simulation, almost. So um, there are so many different layers of existence within the frequencies of the universe. And we have various beings that, as the frequency of our reality changes in the coming years, we're going to start seeing things that were around us all the time that we didn't know, energetic beings. I'm still told 2029, 2028, around that time period, across the world, there are going to be some mass sightings that are undeniable. And it's going to start building up. Until then, we're going to start seeing more and more things in the sky. Things are going to be a little bit clearer, not as mysterious. We're going to see physical form to some of these things. And I'm told that everyone is expecting 2028, 2029 to be the time period when a lot is revealed. Whether we understand it or not, I don't know, because the people we think understand it and are keeping it from us don't truly understand it. They're keeping it from us, but it's because they don't truly understand it. And a lot of them believe that if they reveal the ET presence, that it'll force the hand of the ETs to act in a certain way. That's the military thinking. So that's
So I want to make sure I understand if this is new information that wasn't a part of the original timeline you gave that was given by Emmy, that there would be a unveiling of the Galactic Federation group that would not be entirely positive, that these are negative entities that could be interacting with us already. And is this increased level of mass sightings, is this related to that revealing, or is this something that happens before it?
well, the Galactic Federation, the all of these different beings might just be a manifestation of this non-human intelligence.
I see. Or ultra-terrestrial presence, you're calling it?
Yep.
All right. So who is the one who's believing that this is, or who are the groups that are believing that this is imminent?
Uh, Even the CIA, I mean, military industrial complex groups have known for a while that it was that we're building up to this big reveal. There's a group that wants to keep it completely secret and let us just be totally taken off guard when it happens. And then there's a side within the military industrial complex. It's like, no, let's prepare the people. Let's tell the people what we know. But that's kind of the battle going on within the DoD even. A lot of them
Right.
think, a lot of the people within the DoD thinks this is the devil, right out of the Bible, the devil. Maybe it is, maybe that's just one explanation of it, but they're like, let's not mess with this. There's nothing we can do anyway. Let's not mess with this subject. There's a big contingency of people like that.
All right. I guess we had a question here that um, doesn't specify a time frame on what they're asking about, but they're asking when humans reach advanced state, however long that takes, and we're in a good place as a planet, are we going to be taking part in destroying all of the slave trade that's happening in the universe?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that's something that's going to be taken care of on a larger level than humanity exists at.
All right. There's a question here about um, gold, and they have an assumption here that there's great value to gold with extraterrestrial civilizations. Do you know if that's true or disinformation?
Um, there's so much gold out there uh, that could be mined from asteroids. There are some asteroids that have more gold on them than are on our entire planet. So gold is not uh, super rare, but you know they have technologies that they're able to print things into on an atomic level. I don't. This gold thing goes back to the Anunnaki and them spraying it in their atmosphere and all of that. Um, I don't think that gold is something that I've ever heard traded. They see biologics as being worth way more than a mineral or uh, a metal, even.
That makes sense. Um, Question here was about discernment of entities. If there's any such thing as a foolproof method to use to determine whether or not an entity is of the light or of the dark.
Hmm. The devil himself can present himself as an angel of light. So um, many, many, many people are being contacted by these angelic looking beings that can make you cry with love. Um, but that's a manipulation. So at our current state of development, I don't know. I mean, there's going to be people out there in the spiritual community with egos saying, oh no, my guide's this, my guide. Those could be a deception from this thing. I mean, I'm telling you, it's this insidious. So the more we're locked into our religious beliefs or self-created religions, spiritual beliefs, those things ground us, but they also make us part of the problem because we all have these slightly different facets and distorted brains that accept the same information differently. So humans are way too complicated. We have big egos. We think that you know, we're angelic or whatever when we're really on the lower level of the frequencies. We're fighting our way up and we're doing, some of us are doing well, but don't let your ego tell you that you're way more spiritually developed. You're way more spiritually protected than you really are, because that's a pitfall that I've seen many fall in, and I've fallen in it myself.
Right. Um, so switching topics again to more Earth-based um, concepts, do you feel that there was any significant repercussions or fallout continuing from the UAP hearings that happened in Congress last year?
Yeah, it's all ramping, supposed to be ramping back up again. I have heard there's over 200 whistleblowers that are either going to provide information or have stated that they're willing to testify to Congress. Like out of like 200 people, Congress is going to pick a handful of people to actually testify. They're not going to have 200 people come in. So, and then they'll take the written summaries and reports of the rest at the right time. But supposedly, quietly, there's supposed to be some stuff going on next month in Congress. And then next year, the hearings are supposed to pick up again. And like Lou Elizondo and a few others are starting to kind of uh, set the stage for what's to come.
Yeah, that's exciting. Um, this might be a goofy question, but I know people have been hearing from many different sources about clones, that there are high-level figures that could randomly be clones, and they're asking if Donald Trump could be a clone. And I guess you might as well ask that for anyone else running for president right now.
No, clones are very unreliable. They don't last that long. They have psychological issues. There's all kinds of issues. I remember a few years ago, I can't remember his name, one of these idiots from the community that a lot of people follow put out that I was a clone and David Wilcock was a clone, that we were replaced. And I received, I hate to say, I received many, many dozens of emails about it. Um, so, people just kind of jump open brained to everything that's being said. It's pretty weird.
This person also had a question about more generally the races that are out there, the extraterrestrial races. Do almost all of them or all of them have some kind of spiritual philosophy that's guiding them or some sense of a creator?
I I would say they start off have through their evolution, they have different understandings of what the creator is, but they do understand that they're a part of a creation and that there was something that created it. Now, I don't think all of them may agree on what that was, but um, there are a lot of them, though, out there that are just completely agnostic about everything. Their way of thinking does not involve spirituality at all. It's just logic, logic, logic. Stimulus response. And they just kind of grew that way, and they don't have the emotional attachments to knowledge and things that we do. It makes things messy. All of this emotion. And we have way too much of it, unbridled emotion. And that's, what most of us go off of. It's just our emotion. But I kind of went off topic there.
I
We can
could
do a
ask,
couple more.
all right. Do you think there's any chance of something that would be called or resemble a World War III that could happen in the upcoming years?
Yes, I see it as a very big possibility. Um, More disease outbreaks and various other things. The desperation for these cabal type groups is getting really bad. They would rather start a major war and then try to capitalize off of that, since the globalists are the ones that would be prosecuting most of that war. So I think that it is definitely in their plans to trigger the war. Now, all of the different beliefs out there, the aliens won't let that happen or this or that, we will see, because I am not as confident in that notion as I used to be, you know. Um, but we will see.
I think it's unusual maybe that we have a situation where, for example, the situation with Israel and Palestine and Ukraine and these different countries, our own country seems divided almost down the middle, 50-50 in a lot of these cases. Like there's still, so, but I don't know if that's a part of manipulation too, that we're manipulated to
It
being
is.
divided.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
So there could be some manipulation that allows everyone to have a reason to believe that there's justification for war.
Every war has been prosecuted that way.
Mhm.
Every war.
I guess there must just be a certain percentage of the population wanting peace that is drowned out by the voice of everyone wanting war that allows that to
Well,
happen.
the people who scream for peace the most one moment are the one who scream for war the loudest the next.
Hmm.
It all has to do with stimulus and response. Uh, so many people did not want us in the Middle East before 9/11. 9/11 happened, all opposition went away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just how they play society. And society is comfortable with it. They're used to it. They need that as their anchor to reality. So they're willing to go along with it. And if you start to tell them the truth, they're like, no, 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 no. So that's humanity. That's what we are. That's how we've been conditioned.
Are you able to reach out to the Anshar and ask more about the mystery force, the ultraterrestrial presence?
It's never been that type of relationship. They give me nuggets as I grow,
Hmm.
and they don't really they'll give me a little pre-seed information that they know I'll understand later, but a lot of times they won't share the wisdom behind that seed until I've had the experience. And then they have that to work with.
I think it's fair to ask this on the recording that we got a question about if there will be crowdfunding or options for investment for others in any of your new projects.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of the new smaller video games will do crowdfunding. Um, but if anyone's interested in investing in the games, or we're, the first feature film length pilot is it's going to be over $10 million to shoot, but we'll have money coming in from production companies and that type of thing. And so I think that the biggest investment people can make right now is that we might do some crowdfunding for some of these unscripted projects. We're shooting a lot of them for under 80, $100,000, and if people invest in those, like our last two documentaries, they were made for under $100,000 each, and they each made like $1 million. That money did not go to me; it went to all the other different people. I got a piece of it. But yeah, if people want to invest in some of these unscripted projects, or get in contact with us, spherebeingalliance@gmail.com or through Ascension Works TV. I would love to see people in the community who would like to get involved investing in these projects. Are going to be huge. I mean, amazing. But it would also be cool to have people investing their time later in the video games, being testers um, you know, and that sort of thing. But yeah, if there's people that would like to invest, we have access to a lot of investors for the larger projects. Some of the smaller projects, it might, be nice to work with some people from the community.
All right, let's fit in one quick question from the chat here. Somebody's asking, how can we best be a part of a positive solution for evolution and ascension in the midst of all this chaos?
Yeah, it all goes down to ourselves. We have to focus on ourselves. Everybody's so frazzled. Everybody is so clinging to their own distortions and their own truth right now because of the chaos that we just have to focus on ourselves and making each of us the best version of ourselves we can. Um, because you can't really help people until you do that anyway. And in the next few years, as more and more crazy stuff starts to happen, we need people who are clear and whole on the inside, spiritually and psychologically, to be able to help others through this, because it's going to be a pretty big shock.
All right. Thank you a lot for Corey for sharing and giving all those updates.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, we're do another one next month after I get back from Brazil.
All right. Sounds great.
All
Thanks.
right.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.